You can tell I'm amped up. I think your dog's gonna come join me. Dogs love me, man.
Yeah. Okay, it's a little bit of language.
Oh, look at that big old head. Okay, just look at that big old head. Yeah. You got a head the size of Odin and on not nearly as big of a body. I'm serious, man.
Sit back down.
That's kind of cool, man, you know?
Okay, Scott. So what you want to do, of course, is start by just introducing yourself, what Smart FBA is, and how you got going. Hey, move.
You're good, man. You're good. You're good. I love dogs, bro.
I don't know, man. She's in the way now. That's business.
Yeah.
It's sounding like business, but go ahead and introduce yourself. How long you been doing Smart FBA, and what was the point of you starting this whole thing or getting involved in the first place?
Got it. Well, man, we started Smart FBA in 2020, but prior to this, I was a consultant for multiple other Amazon automation companies, and I would find and identify issues within the stores and try to increase the performance of the stores. And I was also helping them online as far as doing Google Ads, as far as doing Google Ads, SEO, press releases, at the same time trying to fix and improve the performance of stores, and as well as improving the profitability of the stores.
Okay. And then what got you into online running an Amazon stores and,
Well, the companies that I was working for, some of them had hundreds of Amazon stores. And so when I figured out where a lot of them did it wrong, I set out with the intention of doing it right, because I understood the fallbacks. I understood where things go wrong within Amazon. So
what are some of those areas that most people struggle with when they're starting out Amazon, or like want to get it right and don't really know where to begin? Like, what are some flawed areas where you came in and impacted the business significantly?
Well, as for a lot of, especially before the Smart FBA, a lot of it is in product research. A lot of your issues have to occur with product research. If you don't do product research on the items, right? If you're not doing product research, you're just paying for a ton of storage fees, essentially. You're not getting a good IPI number, and you're going to be paying a ton of storage fees. So you want items that are going to turn relatively pretty quick. Even some high BSR numbers, bestseller ranks, don't necessarily turn very fast. They don't necessarily turn over very fast. But at the same token, you want to try to find items at a competitive price that you can put in your store, that you're authorized to sell, that you can flip pretty quick. And you also want to stay away from cheap stuff. So you want to try to sell stuff that's a little bit higher end, especially if you're fulfilling like large client orders.
And then how'd you get involved with being a part of this company?
Well, originally, when I was the only one of us with essentially Amazon backend experience. And I was debating, I was overseas training people in the Philippines and thinking about starting my own automation company at the same time. I was working for two other companies at that time, and neither one of them really wanted to update their model. And I saw a change in the environment. I saw a shift in Amazon wanting to move from the FBM, fulfillment by merchant, essentially sellers fulfilling their own orders, right, into the FBA model. Amazon really likes the FBA model, generally speaking, because Amazon, one, they make more money, but two, it also adds a lot of benefit to every client if you can do that model successfully, despite them having higher fees. And the reason for that is because of the fact that you're not having to go find tracking numbers and update client orders and all that. So it's a lot easier for the business at scale when you're doing thousands of items and you've got hundreds of purchases every month or every day. You're not having to go track down every tracking number and everything else. So it's a lot easier. And I really like the idea of the FBA model.
Now, walk them through the market side of being on or doing Amazon stuff, because I learned when I worked for a company that there's all type of pirates and thieves out there that can steal your page, steal your traffic, steal everything, even when you have a viable business and a viable store.
Correct.
How does Amazon manage protecting smart businesses or businesses in general from being robbed while on their platform?
Well, that's actually a multi-part question. So there was an article that was released on TechCrunch a while back. And that article that was released on TechCrunch is specifically talked about Chinese products coming into the US, and they were copying a lot of the US products. And so they wanted to find out if certain items were authentic. Because a lot of times, they might say Nike shoes, but are they really Nike shoes? Right? Those that know, right? And so a lot of inauthentic products were coming into the country. And so essentially that's one way. Another thing too that happens quite often is people hire, or they give away their login credentials to a VA. They give away their admin login credentials. So say, for example, they sign up with xyz@gmail.com and they create this account, they create their seller account. Well, when they hire somebody, they give them this XYZ account. Well, then they wonder where the VA and, who only knows where he lives left to. And now they don't have access to their store. And essentially, if you give somebody your admin credentials, they can steal your store. And it's really hard to get it back. It's very common. Very common. And good luck trying to get anybody on the phone at Amazon to help you fix it.
Now talk about the top 3 things that someone might consider if they're about to do or create a smart business with Amazon, both the pros and the cons. Give them 3 and 3. What are the benefits of doing this thing? And then what are the biggest challenges with doing this thing?
Well, the 3 and 3. So on the positive side, yes, it's a real business. Yes, you can make money in the business. But at the same time, and yes, you can make a passive income doing it. You really can. However, there are negatives to it, because if you don't do your product research, right? If you're not doing your product research and you're not getting inventory into your store, and you have a short-term focus, in other words, I put this in there, I should get this right back out, that's a problem. So a lot of times people will come into the business and they say, well, I'm going to put $5,000 on my credit card and then next month I'll pay my credit card off. It doesn't always work like that. It never works like that, right? And so, there's a time in any business. So a lot of times, a lot of companies will have 30-day, 90-day, 120-day fulfillment periods. Okay, well, just say, for example, it's a 30-day fulfillment period. Well, your credit card statement is probably on a 30-day fulfillment period, right? I mean, or 30-day payment period. Well, okay, so say, for example, it gets fulfilled in 30 days. Best case scenario, what you ordered gets fulfilled from an FBA fulfillment center in 30 days. Well, now I can go to processing, and go to processing for a week, sometimes 2 weeks, and then it might go to 1 or 2 processing centers, and it might go to 1 or 2 fulfillment centers. So you might be at a month and a half before it even hits your store. So yeah, so essentially that's something that people need to consider too. So you can't be short-term focused. You have to be long-term focused, and anybody, another thing too, I would say this is another bad thing too. Anybody that's telling you you're going to get rich quick overnight, they go showing these stores with $100,000 a month. I mean, I've seen stores that do $12 million a year. But what people don't realize is they've been doing it for a very long time. They got 5,000 SKUs in their store, 5,000 products in their store, right? And they probably have a lot of staff behind them helping them out.
It's almost one of those things where you say, man, I wish people could hear that twice.
Yeah, because people don't know.
Because you go, hey, you see the big numbers, but you don't see all the work that goes into it. Now, let me ask you a personal question here. Where does your desire stem from to really help people out? Because in the short time I've been around you, you put this cross on your back per se, and you want to burden yourself with this cause, and you're like, man, these people deserve a fair chance to continue to feed their families.
Correct.
But where does that stem from, man?
I think probably being a father, because I've got 5 daughters, 1 son and another one on the way. I know how hard it was for me early on. And I wanted to, and even still today, I mean, I haven't gotten paid in almost a year from the company, but yet I still want to do everything that I can to try to help people out because, with inflation and everything else, and you got 2 parents working, you want to do everything that you can, when you're in this predicament to try to help people better themselves and improve their lifestyle for their families.
And that comes from your natural, empathy, sympathy, compassion for others, based on how much you care for your kids.
Correct. That's exactly, it's spot on, man. Because I want to spend more time with my kids too. I love my kids. They wear me out, but at the same token, I love them, and being able to spend that time with them is everything.
Now, coming from all the businesses that you participate in, is this particular situation one of the up there in terms of being one of the worst ones you've experienced?
This is the worst business experience I've ever had in my life, by far. With the takeover and since June, this has been the worst experience I've ever had in my life. by far.
And what's that done to you, man? Because I think naturally, and I want you to go into even talking about the challenges of, going down this road, but, being a man, oftentimes it's perceived we just supposed to suffer and struggle. And you're already someone who's had a, unique life, to say the least.
Yeah.
And then you look at, hey, I'm about to go to war for these people. And then you didn't know you was at war with the people.
Yeah, correct.
You go,
Yeah, exactly.
I'm fighting for you, not against you.
Exactly. Yeah. And I thought people had my back too. I'm over here taking loans out to help these people, right? To help make sure that they have a job, right? And, it's hard, man. It's really hard because, once I took over this, there was so much information that I was unaware of that wasn't shared with me. That's not on the company books. So you look at the financials, you go, oh, okay. You know what? I can fix this. Not a big deal, right? And then as you get into it, you start going, wait, hold on. All right, why was this file not shared with me? How much do we owe here? And then this is after you find the file that was deleted that you asked your developer to try to go back to retrieve, because people don't realize this. When you delete stuff in Google Drive, it can be retrieved. Yeah. So, yeah.
So as you take on the business, we'll get into some of the business stuff now, and walking down that road of solving this problem, taking out loans, what was the first aha moment that this might be worse than I thought?
I would say there was two things. One, the client liquidation sheet. So when you bring, liquidation is normal in the wholesale business, right? If you've got a warehouse, sometimes clients go through a divorce, they don't want to have their store, something happens, they got to get rid of their inventory, you bring back their inventory, you might donate it to a 501c3, you might, you get the idea, right? We might pay, $4 or $5 for the item, we might donate it, we might resell it depending on the quality and the condition of it. It might be still a brand new product. There's a lot of different situations for liquidation. The biggest problem that I had is seeing the sheer number of people that was not disclosed with me that had not been taken care of. And then as soon as I took over, I have people blowing me up all day long for their funds. And I didn't have that until I took over and put my face out there. I put my face out there and said, oh, there's a new sheriff in town. I'm going to fix this for everyone, because I saw the product. And then everybody's coming out to me going, hey, where's my money? And I'm going, huh?
So you put a bullseye on your back.
I sure did. And I carried the cross on my back too, because I did everything that I could to fix it for everyone, despite it hurting me and my family, despite it, despite what